All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Tuesday, June 6th. We got a full MLB slate to jump into today. Happy Tuesday to everyone out there. We're going to go through each and every game on today's slate. I'll give my lean or leans on the games like we do in every single video, but all my final plays, what I'm actually going to be rolling with personally, those will be updated in the pinned comment as well. In terms of how we did yesterday, we did come out on top with a profitable night. We only go 2-2 record-wise, and we didn't hit our parlay of the day either, the two-player prop parlay. We don't count that win or loss towards the record here anyways. It was more for just fun, I guess. But Marlins -1.5, they come from behind and easily cover that line for plus 126 odds. We shall take that. Then we had the Astros money line, absolutely blowout. They win that one for us as well. Another plus money hit, which is great because that's what we needed to make some profit on a 2-2 night, because then we lose the Cubs money line as well as Jake Cronenworth over 0.5 strikeouts. But nonetheless, we'll take the profit. If that Cubs, game swings or the player prop swings, we'd be looking at a 3-1 night. But nonetheless, we will take the profit, guys. Let's go ahead and jump into today's games. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well, and drop your hashtags rides of the day in the comments, guys. Hashtag ride of the day. Just throw a player prop, a cool pick. I want a lock, okay? A pick that I normally wouldn't find or anything like that. I'm putting my money where your mouth is. I'm gonna be jumping on board with someone in the comments, and you guys get a shout out in the next video, win or loss, if I do choose to ride with you. But let's go ahead, jump into this first game here. We have the Tampa Bay Rays taking on the Minnesota Twins here. Tampa Bay coming off 3 straight wins against the Red Sox. They lose game 1 of that 4-game series and then win the next 3. Minnesota coming off of 2 straight losses. They split the 4-game series against Cleveland, but like I said, lose the last 2 there. Zach Eflin on the mound for the Rays, 7-1 with a 3.3 ERA, looking really good this season. And then on the mound for the Twins here is going to be Varland, who's 3-1 with a 3.51 ERA. His last start was really good. 7 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, 5 Ks, 0.7 in terms of a whip there. But nonetheless, I think I'm going to lean towards the Rays. The only issue here is the -165 odds. A lot of juice to be paying. I really don't hate the Timberwolves. Yikes. Minnesota. I don't hate the Tampa Bay Rays. I cannot speak this morning. You can tell it's early. I don't hate the Tampa Bay Rays at -1.5 either on the run line here. I don't think that this Minnesota offense really is going to put up many runs. They really haven't been. Those last 3 games here, 1 run scored, 2 runs scored, and then 1 run scored. Tampa Bay, yeah, their offense is cooled off a little bit, but they're still scoring 5, 4, 6 runs, that type of thing. So I'm going to lean towards Tampa Bay. If I can't get myself to swallow the juice there at -165, I do consider Tampa Bay for plus 115 odds there at -1.5. And now we're looking at the total 8 here. Neither one of these teams has broached this number in their last 3 games here. Tampa Bay did land on 8 in 1 game, but I think there's some decent pitching on the mound for both sides. And I don't think this Minnesota offense is going to carry their weight here. I could see this being sort of like a 5-2 type game. So I'm going to lean slightly towards the under in this one. All right, the Marlins taking on the Royals. Jesus Luzardo on the mound for the Marlins, 4.05 ERA. Going up against Greinke, who has a 4.19 ERA. Looked good in his last start. 5 earned runs, 0.6 whip. 5 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, 0.6 whip with 6 Ks. Going up against Jesus Luzardo, like I said, who had been looking good, but has been up and down this season. Last start, 5 1/3 pitch, 5 earned runs. Didn't let many guys on base, let up some big balls there with 8 strikeouts, but he got the loss. So really kind of a weird outing for him. The Marlins are -150 here at home. I think it's a little bit too much. They're -150 over on DraftKings. I know the graphic says -168, but I think that this is going to be a spot where Kansas City can keep this game close, but I don't trust that, so you got to hear me out for a second. I think the Marlins win this game. I think that this could result in a game just like yesterday where Miami comes and wins that one by 3 runs, right? And yes, obviously Kansas City's offense actually looked pretty good. I think they went up 4-2, and then the Marlins took the lead and finished at 6 to they finished with 6 runs. The Marlins ended up putting 9 runs up. I do think this is a game where it could be close, but I don't know if I'm putting my money where my mouth is in this type of a game here. And plus 1.5 for Kansas City is -150, so I do think that the Marlins can win this game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout fashion, so I probably I'm gonna lean, like I said, towards Kansas City plus 1.5. But when I say lean, that's like the lowest of fonts. Not bold, all lowercase font. Like it really is kind of a lean. I don't think that's going to be a final play. In terms of a total 8 runs, I do think that this one could get up and over. You have 2 pitchers on the mound here that, yes, they've had good starts, but they've also had some bad starts this season. Greinke starting to figure it out. I'll give him credit there, but Luzardo can let up, 6 runs in 4 innings into a bad Royals team where I do think the Marlins can go and score, at least 3 runs in this game. I think you could be looking at some decent value on the over here, and you can get that for minus 109 here on FanDuel as of right now. So keep an eye on the pinned comment. If anything is going to happen in this game, it probably is going to be, an overplay, but I don't know if any final plays come from this game. All right, Phillies stomped the Tigers yesterday, 8-3. Today, they're heavy favorites again. Taijuan Walker on the mound. He's 4-3 with a 5.65 ERA. And Tyler Alexander on the mound for the Tigers here, 1-0 with a 6.75 ERA. The only thing I think I'm going to look at here is going to be the over. It stinks that it's double digits. I kind of wish we were looking at an 8.5 total like we had yesterday, but I don't like either side of this. The Tigers are not reliable to bet on, and the Phillies, just to me, no matter who they're playing, are not a minus 200 type team. So I'm going to stick away from the side of this game. I'm going to take a peek at the over. Phillies, they have a couple high-scoring games in a row here. The Tigers get into that one yesterday, 11 runs scored. So I'm going to lean towards the over, hoping for double digits. But just like last game that we covered here, I don't know if any of the value is really, that out and about in this spot here. So the over is the only one that I can kind of convince myself to potentially deep dive into. All right, Washington taking on the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks' little streak there has come to an end. They lost 2 games in a row to close out the Atlanta series there. Washington also coming off of a 2-game losing streak here, losing the last 2 games against Philly. Irvin on the mound for the Nationals, 1-3 with a 5.67 ERA. Henry on the mound for the D-backs, 3-1 with a 3.73 ERA. I think this one's going to be a place where a lot of people expect the Diamonds to bounce back, especially for some decent odds. Minus 145 on the money line here. Playing against the Nationals here are not a very good team, but I think this Nationals team can either keep it close or win this game outright. So I am going to lean towards Washington on the money line for some decent money there, plus 137. I'm also going to take a peek at their run line if we want that safety net at plus 1.5. I do think that this could be a spot in which, these games stay close. Last time they played here, we did see a few close games here. Washington takes one game 9-8. This was just a month ago or so too. They take the last game of the series 9-8, and then in the second to last game, so middle of that series, they lose by 1 run. The only game that kind of got out of hand, and when I say out of hand, it was a 3-1 finish, was game 1 in that series back on May 5th. Arizona wins 3-1. So we already saw these 2 teams kind of duke it out. Washington at home, I think there's some value there on the money line. And then in terms of the total 9.5 runs, Washington, their offense has been super inconsistent. Arizona's been kind of middle of the road. They're scoring 3 to 5 runs as a floor. I don't think that this team gets up and over that mark, so I'm going to slight lean towards the under. All right, next game up, we've got the Yankees taking on the White Sox. Yankees looking good to finish that Dodgers series, winning 6-3, then 4-1 to win that 2-1 in that series. And Chicago sweeping the Tigers there, but yes, it was just the Tigers. I like the Yankees in this spot, but minus 170 or minus 170 and beyond, not something I'm willing to consider here. So I guess I lean towards the Yankees on the run line at minus 1.5, but I have a play that I do really like in this game, which is going to be the over 8.5 runs, specifically because there's 8 to 10 mile an hour winds blowing out to right field, and we know how that Yankee Stadium can get when that happens. So I'm going to lean towards the over here. Maybe we get a couple unexpected home runs that we normally wouldn't see, and 2 pitchers on the mound that I'm not really too afraid of. Clark Schmidt on the mound for the Yankees, 2-5 with a 5.01 ERA, and then Lucas Frozen Yogurt Giolito on the mound for the White Sox here, 4-4 with a 4.08 ERA. So I think the over, if I were to start kind of stack my leans in this game, I think the over would be number 1, and then I think I'm going to take a peek at Yankees minus 1.5 on the run line. They've covered that in their last 7 games here. They've covered it as favorites. They've covered that in 5 of their last 7 years. So I do think that that's a decent spot. Chicago is keeping games close, but nonetheless, I like the Yankees and the over. Pirates taking on the A's. Caprilli on the mound for the A's, 0-6 with an 8.12 ERA. And then Mitch Keller, who's off to a good start here, or has been having a good season. I can't say good start anymore. 7-1 with a 3.25 ERA. The issue here is that Pittsburgh is minus 230 on the money line. That is not really worth consideration. They're not a minus 230 team. So I'm going to stick away from this. What I do like is Pittsburgh team total here. I'm going to take a peek at that. If it's anywhere, I don't have the lineup in front of me, but if it's anywhere, at 4.5 or 3.5, I do think I'm going to hammer the over there, or 4.5. I get a little dicey with, but yeah, that is going to be my lean in this game. I don't like the over altogether because Oakland's offense can just be a little bit too inconsistent. Yesterday, I think we saw them finish at it finished at 9 runs. I think it was either 6-3 or 5-4. I don't have the score up in front of me. But yeah, that's really going to be the only lean in this game. I don't really love this spot altogether, if I'm being completely honest. All right, guys, before we get into the rest of the slate, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We are so close to 25,000 subscribers. We're getting there. I cannot even imagine that we're going to get to there at one point, and I know we will. I'm confident in that. I'm confident in you guys, and you guys have been running up the likes, running up the comments, and hitting that subscribe button like crazy. So if you are new, hit that subscribe button. If you haven't liked this video yet, go ahead and like this video and drop your hashtag ride of the day in the comments as well. Use hashtag ride of the day. I know I told you at the top of the video, but I'm telling you again, guys, chance to be shouted out in tomorrow's video. But let's keep it going here without taking too much time. We got the Astros taking on the Blue Jays. This is one of our hits yesterday here. The Astros looking pretty good. They've won 7 of their last 10 games. They got Hunter Brown on the mound here, 5-2 with a 3.61 ERA. Going up against Gausman, though, who I do really like, 4-3 with a 2.76 ERA. That 4-3 record, I feel like, really doesn't indicate how good Gausman can be. They're only giving him, 2 to 3 runs a game, it seems, this season in terms of run support. So that's a little tough to see, but we are looking at a spot where I think the Jays bounce back. I know I had Houston on the money line as underdogs yesterday, but I think this is going to be a Blue Jays spot, especially with Gausman on the mound. So I'm going to lean towards the Jays here. Minus 120-ish odds, I'll pay that. I don't think that's much juice whatsoever. And then we're looking at a total of 8 runs. I went back and forth on this. I thought, okay, these offenses are going to be good, right? And they probably will. But I think that this Astros offense, obviously being one to carry the torch last game, as the Jays only go out there and score 4 runs, Houston scored 11. I think this one's actually going to stay under. I think you have 2 serviceable pitchers on the mound, one that I really do like that's hard to hit. So I'm going to lean towards the under 8 runs, even though it is fairly low, and usually we probably wouldn't be looking at 2 really good offenses like this and taking the under, but I do think that this is an under spot. All right, Cincinnati taking on the Dodgers here. The only lean I really have in this game is going to be taking a peek at Gonsolin, his under hits allowed. So keep an eye in the mid comment to see if we pull the trigger with that. And also, guys, when I'm doing these player prop videos, I'm posting them on Instagram, TikTok, as well as YouTube Shorts, so you can get my explanation there. I don't want to just throw out a pick to you guys, and you're like, why the heck would I take that? I know nothing about it, unless you want to, blindly ride, which isn't always the best. We do videos for those player props. If you see a player prop there, you're like, where the heck did this pick come from? Check the Instagram, check the TikTok, or just check the YouTube Shorts if you're already on YouTube. But yeah, I'm going to look at Gonsolin's under in hits here. He's been pitching really, really well, keeping it around a 0.8 whip in his last few starts here. So I like that spot. I don't really like anything else on this game. The total of 10, I guess I could say that I lean towards the under, but the Dodgers could go up there and just blow up Luke Weaver's spot here and score 10 runs themselves if at the drop of a hat. So that is going to really be my only lean on this game. I don't really like the discrepancy in terms of Dodgers minus 190 and plus 175 on the red side of things. I don't really like either one of those sides things altogether. All right, Red Sox coming off 3 straight losses like we talked about. Tampa Bay winning the last 3 of that game, of that series, and Cleveland winning the last 2 of the Minnesota series here. Shane Bieber on the mound for the Guardians, 3.72 ERA, 4-3 record. Paxton on the mound for the Red Sox. Paxton has looked okay, has not really got it together in terms of getting those wins yet. They've lost the last 2 times he started, whereas Shane Bieber pitching decently, had a really bad outing last game, but luckily they score a bunch of runs for him. In terms of my lean on this game, I'm actually going to look at the Red Sox here. I think that there's some value for some plus money. If you're on the Guardian side of thing, I don't hate it. I'm not going to tell you to not do that, but I think that the value is over on the Red Sox side. Yes, they've been a little streaky here, but Paxton, I think, can get it together in this game and kind of hold this Cleveland offense down, who hasn't been that hard to hold down altogether. And maybe the Red Sox can go out there and get back to how they were scoring in that Cincinnati series instead of that Tampa Bay series. So I'm going to lean in that direction. And then in terms of a total, the line's actually moved to 7.5. We see 8 over here on the graphic here, but it's actually at 7.5. So I can't help but lean the over. That's an awfully low number, especially when I'm looking at a Red Sox team that I'm hoping they can go out there and get their offense back in check. If the Red Sox win this game, I do think it actually results in an over. If if Cleveland wins this game, I do think that they end up keeping the score really, really low and winning like 3-1, something like that. But I'm going to lean towards the over in hopes that the Red Sox also carry their weight. All right, guys, if you are still watching, go ahead and drop 15 in the comments because we just hit the 15-minute mark. And you guys know this is like one of my favorite things to do. We can kind of weed out who the real ones are, who the real ones aren't. And I love the comments of, everyone's dropping 15s in the comments. And people are like, why the heck are people saying 15? I'm like, yeah, you didn't watch the video. You know what I mean? So go ahead and drop 15 in the comments. 1-5 if you guys are still watching. And yeah, go ahead and check out Outlier too. Instead of taking another break later in the video, let's go ahead and talk about Outlier, guys. Outlier, my favorite sports betting research tool. Start betting on sports smarter today. You can get a 7-day free trial with this awesome tool using the link in the description or the pinned comment. And you guys have been awesome in terms of your response with Outlier. I love promoting a brand and saying, I really like this, you should go check it out, and then getting a good response, because that means I made the right decision in promoting this. You guys don't even understand the stuff that comes across my desk. Can you promote this? Can you promote this? We'll give you a bunch of money. It's like, I'm not going to promote something just for the money. I should, but it just doesn't feel right to me. So I like to promote things I actually like or use, and that makes sense for you guys to hear about, that doesn't interrupt the show. So what Outlier is, you can identify any plays in the market that have value based on trends and odds and everything like that. It's super visual. It's great for player props. I use it for game picks as well. But guys, make sure to check out Outlier. I've demonstrated it in many videos. We'll demonstrate it again in a video coming up. But yeah, go check it out. That link's in the description as well as the pinned comment. Super visual. Green is good. Duh. Red is bad, and you can tell if you have a good play on your hands. It makes sports betting a lot easier. They do all the heavy lifting, so make sure to go check that out, guys. That link, again, is in the description. Let's go ahead and jump into this next game here. We have the Braves taking on the Mets here. Braves heavy favorites at home. -161 right now on FanDuel. That, isn't too crazy for me. I am going to lean towards the Braves with Bryce Elder on the mound. 3-0 record, 1.92 ERA. I like the Braves in this one. For whatever reason, I'm also going to take a peek at the over. You asked me like a week ago if I'm looking at these two teams, would I like the over or the under in this type of spot, and I would say the under. But this Braves offense seems like they maybe started to click last 2 games there, scoring 5 runs, 8 runs. They scored double digits within the last, 7 games or so. Maybe they're starting to fire here. 9.5, yes, it's asking for a lot, but everything that I'm looking at here looks like the public's probably going to be on the under, and I like the over. I think this Braves team is going to get to the Mets pitcher here, who is Carlos Carrasco, is 2-2 with a 5.74 ERA. So even if the Mets come to play with 3 or 4 runs today, which would be really good in a sense, I think the Braves are going to put up a big spot. So I'm going to look at the Braves, the over, as well as the Braves team total over. Pretty big on the Braves. So keep an eye on the pinned comment, see if that becomes a final play, but I do like them in this spot. Brewers taking on the Orioles. I knew the Brewers game was going to go like that yesterday. What did I say in yesterday's video? I was like, they're the better team, but you can't just walk in and sweep, 4-game sweep another MLB team that easily. They did not. They lose 0-2. And then in terms of Baltimore here, Baltimore wins 2 of 3 against San Francisco, and they win in dominant fashion yesterday, 8-3 as well. But I don't think that they carry that momentum into the Brew Crew here. I'm going to lean towards Freddie Peralta and the Brewers. Decent odds, -120. In terms of the total here, you're looking at 8.5 runs. I think this one also can get up and over. And one thing that I would tell you guys to consider, just from the odds perspective, would be the Brewers -1.5. If the Brewers are going to win, I think they win this game by 2 or more runs, and you can get +165 odds right now over on BetMGM. So there's some value there. Do I think that they win this game by 2? If they win, I think they're going to win by 2. You look at their last few wins here, they won by 2 against Cincinnati, they won by 4 against Cincinnati in their other win. Against Toronto, they won by 2 back in that series, and then their win against San Francisco was by 2. In their last 10, when they have won, the only win that came by less than 2 runs was game 1 of that Cincinnati series. So the Brewers have been covering that run line when they win ball games, regardless if they're +1.5 or -1.5. So I do think that this could be a value play. Keep an eye on the pinned comment if we do want to kind of get risky here and mess around and find out. But I do think that, there's some value of plus 165 for a team that, if they're going to win, they're probably going to win by 2 runs. Like I said, I also think that this is, or I don't know if I said it yet, but I do think this could be a good spot for the over, just considering the line here at 8.5. And get this, both these teams have enough power to be able to put up, 4 runs, then another team scores 1 run type of thing to make this an easy over. All right, Texas continuing to play good baseball. They win yesterday 4-3 in that one. Today, they are heavy favorites at minus 140 on the money line. Dane Dunning on the mound for them, 4-1 with a 2.06 ERA. Matthew Liberatore on the mound for the Cardinals, 4.91 ERA on a 1-1 record this season. His last start, not looking too great. Dane Dunning also didn't have a great start his last start, so you have 2 pitchers coming off of, probably one of their worst starts of the season. But I think that it's worth looking at Texas yet again. They are sort of a real, I don't want to say streaky team because they win a bunch of games, but they are a team that gets in these momentum pockets. They're 2 games removed from scoring 12 runs, 3 games removed from scoring 16 runs. I do like the spot for them. This offense is nothing to joke about, so I'm going to lean towards Texas as well as their team total in the over, and I might take a peek at the over as well. I just don't know if the Cardinals are going to carry their weight. 3 runs yesterday, is something that like the Cardinals have been doing as of late. 5-3-1-3-2-0-3-2-3-2. That's their last 10 games or so. I kind of lost count of where I was there, but just going through their last few games. So I like the Texas side of things a little bit more than the Cardinals side, especially when it comes to how many runs are going to be scored in this game. All right, San Francisco taking on the Rockies. I'll be honest right away, this is not a series that I'm loving altogether. You do have San Francisco at minus 140 on the road taking on the Rockies. I'm going to take a peek at the Rockies. Plus 122. What could it hurt? I do think that this could be a decent spot for them. I don't like either of the pitchers on the mound. Lamet on the mound for the Rockies. Brebbie on the mound for the Giants. Neither one of them, tickle my fancy whatsoever. This is probably a game I ultimately stay away from. But if I do have a gun to my head and a lean in this game, it is going to be towards the Rockies as well as the under 12 runs. Like I keep telling you guys, sure, you can go and say, oh my God, the altitude is crazy in Colorado. But nonetheless, you still got to put a bat on the ball to be able to go out there and do that and cash that. And they're about 500 at home when it comes to over-unders this season. 15-14. 15 overs, 14 unders at home. So it's not really anything that's too impressive. And I don't think either one of these offenses is absolutely cooking right now. Let's go through the last few games for San Francisco. 3 runs, 4 runs, 2 runs, 4 runs, 1 run, right? In their last 5 games. Last 5 for Colorado, 1 run, 0 runs, 4 runs, 7 runs, 6 runs, 0 runs. That was their last 6 games. But nonetheless, they only have a couple decent scoring games. Those are against the Royals. So I'm going to kind of pass on that, guys. But I do lean towards the under as well as Colorado if I had a gun to my head. But this isn't really a series that really gets me going whatsoever. All right, Angels taking on the Cubs. Cubs letting us down last night as our only against the spread type win. Our game pick yesterday. Other game picks went 2-0. Ty Anderson on the mound for the Angels, 2-1 with a 5.47 ERA. Hayden Wesnecky on the mound for the Cubs here. I think that this is going to be a game in which the Cubs can keep this game close, but we have been taking a lot of Cubs bets as of late, and I say it in every video. You guys are probably like, here we go, a Cubs game. I wonder what his lean is going to be. So I'm going to lean towards, I guess, the Cubs, but I don't think this becomes a final play. Hayden Wesnecky, I would take over Ty Anderson. Anderson's got a better record. Hayden Wesnecky's got a better ERA, but both these teams are fairly similar. In the way that they've been playing, too, I don't necessarily like looking at that over at 9.5, so I'm going to look at the under. It says 9 on the screen. It's already bumped up to 9.5 because a lot of the public right now, 92% of the bets are on the over. Look, using the outlier tool, I can see where the percent of bets are. I don't necessarily agree with the public, so I'm fading the public here. My number one lean in this game is going to be under 9.5 runs. Could I see the scoring close to that? Yeah, I could see this being, a 5-3 type of a game or a really close game to that 9, 5-4, keeping it just under. But I don't know if they get into the double digits. So before you go and click off the video and be like, oh my God, he's betting the Cubs again. My main play in this game is going to be the under, but I do still think there's value on the Cubs at plus money. But again, I keep betting the Cubs as if it's like, an alcoholic that's like, no, I just like to drink. I could stop anytime. This Cubs team it has my number somehow, where I always look at them and say, there's value there. I gotta get out of that habit sooner rather than later, for sure. And I see you guys in the comments going, hashtag bet the Cubs. Hey, you're supposed to support me. But yeah, I do lean the Cubs nonetheless. I know it's crazy, but I think they could win this game outright for some plus money. And we're actually going to another plus money spot that I do like. The Mariners here at plus 120 on the money line. They're coming off of 3 straight losses, but those were 3 losses against Texas, who I just got finished talking about a couple games ago, right? They are red hot right now, playing good baseball. San Diego's coming off of playing the Cubs, in which they split that series. So yes, they won 5-0 yesterday, and their other one was 6-0. When San Diego's winning, they're winning by a decent amount, but I think that there's some value here in Seattle taking this one at plus 120. Logan Gilbert on the mound, I don't hate that altogether. Musgrove on the mound for the Padres. I think these are 2 very even teams. So yes, you could say, okay, well, San Diego's home, right? But I don't think that's really going to do it for me. I don't think that that's a big deal. I think the Seattle team, obviously playing against Texas, now they're playing against San Diego. I do like the spot for them in this spot. And if it wasn't for that sweeping of the Texas series, I think this could be more of like an even 50-50 type pick'em series or game today. So I'm going to lean towards Mariners. I think there's value in that plus 120 and also 7.5 runs. If San Diego's offense shows up, which again, it's kind of going not showing up, not showing up, not showing up. Like literally look at these last 7 games, right? 9 runs scored. Next game, 1 run scored. Next game, 10 runs scored. Next game, 1 run scored. Next game, 6 runs scored. Next game, 1 run scored. Next game, 6 runs scored. It's actually kind of crazy if you look at their scoring output over the last 7 games. It's literally decent number 1, decent number 1. It's kind of crazy. And Seattle is inconsistent, but something started to happen in the later parts of those games and series against Texas. So 7.5, you're not asking for too much, right? I do think that if these offenses click, especially if you get an offense that's going to click from San Diego today, I do think we could be looking at an over. Guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did and you have not yet, go ahead and hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button as well. I've asked like 12 times in this video because I really want to get to 25,000 subscribers. But yeah, if you're still watching, guys, hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll catch you guys in the next one, right? Peace out.